Happy morning, students. I welcoming you all to this online class. So we have completed 2 units, that is 4th chapter, and we are entering into your 3rd unit, the 5th chapter, digestion and absorption. This lesson is a very simple lesson for you because it depends on the parts of our body. So keenly watch the video, understand the concept and study well. Digestion and absorption. We all eat food. The food we eat provide energy and organic substances for growth and for replacement of worn and damaged tissues. It regulates and coordinates the various activities that takes place in our body. The components of our food are carbohydrate, proteins, lipids, vitamins, minerals, fiber, and water. The food we eat are macromolecules and cannot directly enter into our cells. So, it must be broken down into smaller micromolecules and in absorbable forms, for which we need digestive system. Plants, however, are autotrophs because they synthesize their own food. Hence, they do not require a digestive system. The primary functions of the digestive system in the animals is to bring the nutrients, water, and electrolytes from the external environment into every cell in the body through the circulatory system. So, with the help of the circulatory system, the nutrients that enter into our body are transmitted to the body cells. Digestive system. There are different processes involved in digestion. They are ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. What is ingestion? Intake of food. Breakdown of food particles, that is called as digestion. Breakdown of food into micromolecules. Macromolecules is breakdown into micromolecules. Absorption of these molecules into the bloodstream is called as absorption. And the absorbed food substances becoming components of the cells is called as assimilation. And elimination of undigested substances are called egestion. The digestive system includes alimentary canal and the associated digestive glands. First, we see the structure of alimentary canal. Alimentary canal is a continuous tubular structure which begins with the mouth and ends in anus. The parts of the alimentary canal are mouth, buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, intestine, rectum, and anus. The mouth is concerned with reception of food. The mouth receives the food and it leads to the buccal cavity. Mechanical digestion is initiated. Mechanical is initiated in the buccal cavity by chewing with the help of teeth and tongue. And chemical digestion is through the salivary enzymes secreted by the salivary gland. So in our mouth, we are having teeth, tongue, and salivary gland. Each tooth is embedded in a socket in the jawbone. So jawbone la over tooth abdi attach aayirukku. That type of attachment is called as thecodont. And human beings have 2 sets of teeth in their lifetime. A set of 20 temporary milk teeth which gets replaced by the set of 32 permanent teeth. This type of dentition is called as diphyodont. Di means 2. So they are having 2 sets of teeth. Next is the heterodont. What is meant by heterodont? In your classes you might have studied about this. Different types of teeth are present in human. They are incisors, canine, premolar and molar. So incisors is are chisel-like, which is used as cutting teeth. Canine as steering teeth. Premolar for grinding and molars for grinding and crushing. So the arrangement of teeth in our mouth is I, C, P, M and M. That means incisor, canine, premolar and molar, and is represented by the dental formula 2, 1, 2, 3 by 2, 1, 2, 3. So 2 incisor, 1 canine, 2 premolar and 3 molars. So our teeth is made up of calcium and magnesium. There are some hard substances that is deposited in our teeth that is called as a plaque. That means the waste particles that are deposited in our tooth. If the plaque formed on the teeth is not removed regularly, அதாவது நம்ம சரியா brush பண்ணலனா, it could spread down into the narrow gap between the gums and the enamel causes inflammation. அப்ப பல்லு இடுக்குலலாம் வந்து பல்லுக்கு ஈர்களுக்கு நடுவுல அது வீக்கத்தை ஏற்படுத்தும். That is called as gingivitis. Important 2 mark question. Gingivitis. What is gingivitis? This gingivitis leads to redness and bleeding of the gums, and it will cause a bad smell to our mouth. Next is the tongue. Tongue is a freely movable muscular organ attached to the posterior end of the end by the frenulum. The tongue is attached to posterior end by frenulum. This is also a 1 mark question. To the floor of the buccal cavity, and it is free in the front. The tongue is free in the front and it is attached in the posterior end by frenulum. It acts as a universal brush, and it helps in intake of food, to chew the food, mix the food with saliva, to swallow the food, and also it helps to speak. The tongue has so many papillae that is called as a taste buds. The oral cavity leads to a short common passage for food and air is called as pharynx. So oral cavity, the nasal cavity, ரெண்டும் ஒரு காமனான பிளேஸ்ல ஓப்பன் ஆகுது, that is called as pharynx. The esophagus and the trachea, that is the windpipe, open into the pharynx. Food passes through the esophagus through the wide opening at the back of the pharynx. There is a cartilaginous flap, ஒரு சின்ன தட்டையா ஒரு flap போல ஒன்று இருக்கும், called epiglottis, which prevents the entry of food into the glottis, that is the opening of the trachea during swallowing. இப்போ நம்ம சாப்பிடும்பொழுது பேசுகிறோம், அப்போ ஃபுட் பைப்பும் விண்டு பைப்பும் பக்கத்துலேயே போகும், அதனுடைய காமன் பேசேஜ் ஃபேரிங்ஸ். அப்போ அந்த ஃபேரிங்ஸில் எபிக்ளாட்டிஸ் இருக்கும், ஒரு டென்னிஸ் பேட் போலன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். ஓகேவா? இப்போ ஃபுட் உள்ளே போகும் பொழுது நம்ம சப்போஸ் பேசுகிறோம், போனோம் வரோம், ஏதாவது சிரிக்கிறோம் பொழுது ஃபுட் என்ன ஆகும், விண்டு பைப்புக்குள்ளே போகிறதுக்கான வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. விண்ட் பைப்புக்குள்ளே போய் அது உள்ள ட்ரக்கியாக்குள்ளே என்ட்ரு ஆச்சுன்னா நம்மளுக்கு அந்த காஃபிங் ரிஃப்ளெக்ஸ் வரும். ஸோ அதை போக விடாமல் தடுக்கிறது தான் இந்த எபிக்ளாட்டிஸோட வேலை. The 2 masses of lymphoid tissues called tonsils are also located at the sides of the pharynx. pharynxனோட 2 சைடில் டான்சில்ஸ் இருக்கும். டான்சில்ஸ்னால் ஒரு சதை போல் ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரக்சர். இப்போ நிறைய பேருக்கு ஐஸ்லாம் சாப்பிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா டான்சில்ஸ் வரும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க. Then is esophagus. Esophagus is a long muscular tube concerned with the conduction. That means it carries the food, and it is attached to the J-shaped stomach passing through the neck, thorax and the diaphragm. There is an opening at the starting of the stomach that is called as the cardiac sphincter. Sphincter is nothing but a controlling muscle. நம்ம சாப்பிட்ற சாப்பாடு அப்படியே சாப்பிடும்போது ஈசோஃபேகஸ்குள்ளே போய் டைரெக்டாக ஸ்டொமக்குள்ளே அப்படியே விழாது. ஸோ அங்கே வந்து ஒரு மசில் ஒன்று இருக்கும், அது கண்ட்ரோல் க்ளோஸ் பண்ணி ஓப்பன் பண்ணும். ஸோ ஸ்லோலி த ஃபுட் என்டர்ஸ் இன் டு த ஸ்டொமக், regulates the opening of the esophagus into the stomach. If the cardiac sphincter does not contract properly, ஒருவேளை அந்த cardiac sphincter சரியாக கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆகலைன்னா, during the churning action of the stomach, churning action means water, during the அந்த ஒரு மாதிரி ஷேக் ஆகிட்டே இருக்கும் இல்லையா, மூமெண்ட் கொடுத்துக்கிட்டே இருக்கும், that is called during the churning action of the stomach, the gastric juice is secreted inside the stomach with acid may flow back into the esophagus. சில சமயம் நமக்கு பார்த்தோன்னா சாப்பிட்ருப்போம், அப்படியே திருப்பி அது மறுபடியும் நெஞ்சு கரிச்சு மேலே அப்படியே வாந்தி வர மாதிரி ஒரு ஃபீல் இருக்கும். ஓகேவா? ஸோ அப்போ கார்டியாக் ஸ்பின்ஸ்டர் சரியாக கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆகலை, சுருங்கலை, ஒர்க் பண்ணலை அப்படின்னா, அப்போ ஸ்டொமக்குள்ளே போயிருந்த gastric juice with acid may flow back into the esophagus and cause heartburn, which results in GERD, GERD, that is gastroesophagus reflux disorder. Important 2 more question. What is GERD? How GERD occurs? If the cardiac sphincter does not contract properly during the churning action of the stomach, the gastric juice with acid may flow back to the esophagus and cause heartburn. The stomach functions as a temporary storage of food, and it is divided into three parts: cardiac stomach, pyrolytic, and the fundus. The cardiac is the first portion, which opens from the esophagus. Next is the fundic portion. We can also call it as body. And the last part is the pyrolytic stomach that opens into the duodenum. The opening of the stomach into the duodenum is guarded by another sphincter called pyrolytic sphincter. அப்போ ஃபுட்டு உள்ளே என்டர் ஆகும் பொழுதும் ஒரு கண்ட்ரோலிங் மசில், ஃபுட்டு வெளியில் போகும் பொழுதும் அங்கேயும் ஒரு கண்ட்ரோலிங் மசில். It periodically allows partially digested food to enter into the duodenum. And the inner wall of the stomach has the gastric glands. Then it leads to small intestine. The small intestine assists the final digestion and absorption of food. It is the longest part of the alimentary canal and has three regions, namely U-shaped duodenum, which is 25 centimeter long, a long coiled middle portion called jejunum, which is 2.4 meter long, and highly coiled ileum, which is 3.5 meter long. The walls of the duodenum has Brunner's gland, which secretes mucus and enzyme. The ileum is the longest part of the small intestine and opens into the large intestine in cecum. This ileal mucosa has numerous finger-like projections called villi, which is involved for absorption of food. This villi absorbs the nutrients from the food and it is transported through the blood to the cells. Along with the villi, the ileal mucosa also contains mucus-secreting goblet cells and a lymphoid tissues known as Peyer's patches. What is Peyer's patches? Peyer's patch is a lymphoid tissue. Lymphoid na நம்மளுக்கு நோய் எதிர்ப்பு சக்தியை கொடுக்கக்கூடிய tissue which will produce lymphocytes. The wall of small intestine bears crypts between the base of the villi called crypts of Lieberkühn. Crypt is nothing but a small tubular pit or a gland. Then it leads to large intestine. The large intestine consists of three parts: cecum, colon, and rectum. Cecum is a small blind pouch-like structure that opens into the colon, and this possesses a narrow finger-like projections called vermiform appendix. So what is the use of this appendix? This appendix is found in herbivorous animals because in appendix the bacteria is present. This bacteria have a symbiotic relationship with the herbivorous animals to digest the cellulose present in the food. Herbivorous means plant eating animals. Plant abdinale, it is made up of plant cell. Plant cells cell wall is made up of cellulose. So to digest the cellulose, this bacteria is helpful. But in human, we are not completely dependent upon plants. So it is a vestigial organ. So this vermiform appendix is a vestigial organ in human. It is of no use. பட் ஏதாவது நம்ம சாப்பிட்ற சாப்பாடில் இருக்கக்கூடிய கண்டென்ட் அந்த பாக்டீரியா அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணிடுச்சுன்னா இட் வில் காஸ் அப்பெண்டிட்டிக்ஸ். அண்ட் தென் த colon is divided into 4 regions. ascending colon கீழேருந்து மேலே போகுது, ascending, transverse குறுக்கால போகிறது, descending கீழே மறுபடியும் இறங்கும், and sigmoid S-shaped colon. Okay, and this S-shaped sigmoid colon opens into the final part called rectum. The rectum is concerned with the temporary storage of feces. Feces means waste particles. So the rectum opens out through the anus. The anus is also guarded by 2 anal sphincter muscle. அங்கேயும் ஒரு controlling muscle இருக்கு. 2 anal sphincter muscles. The anal mucosa is folded into several vertical folds and contain arteries and veins called anal columns. Anal mucosa, anusல several folded structures இருக்கும், vertically folded structures which contains blood vessels, that means arteries and veins, that is called as anal columns. Anal column may get enlarged. சில சமயம் the anal column enlarge ஆகி which causes piles கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க. It is also called as hemorrhoids. Piles or hemorrhoids. Next is histology of the gut. The wall of the alimentary canal from esophagus to rectum consists of. The wall of alimentary canal consists of 4 layers, namely serosa, muscularis, submucosa, and mucosa. I repeat, serosa, muscularis, submucosa, and mucosa. The serosa is the outermost layer and it is made up of thin squamous epithelium with some connective tissues. Muscularis is made up of smooth circular and longitudinal muscle fibers with network of nerve cells and parasympathetic nerve fibers which control peristalsis. Peristalsis means the movement. The submucosal layer is formed of loose connective tissue containing nerves, blood, lymph vessels, and the sympathetic nerve fibers that control the secretion of intestinal juices. The innermost layer lining the lumen means the space of the alimentary canal, is the mucosa which secretes mucus. So, the walls of the alimentary canal is made up of 4. It's a very important 3-mark question. So, walls of the alimentary canal is made up of 4 layers: serosa, muscularis, submucosa, and mucosa. Serosa is the outermost layer and it is made up of thin squamous epithelium. Muscularis is made up of smooth muscles and longitudinal muscle fibers. And submucosal layer consists of loose connective tissue which contains nerves, blood vessels, etc. And innermost layer is the mucosa which secretes mucus. Next is the digestive glands. Digestive glands are exocrine glands which secrete biological catalyst called enzymes. So we know that there are 2 types of glands. One is exocrine, another one is the endocrine. This exocrine gland secretes enzymes, whereas the endocrine gland secretes hormones. Okay, so the digestive glands associated with the alimentary canal are salivary gland, liver, and pancreas. Stomach wall has gastric glands that secretes gastric juice, and the intestinal mucosa secretes intestinal juice. First we see salivary gland. There are 3 pairs of salivary gland in the mouth. They are the largest parotid gland in the cheeks, submaxillary in the lower jaw, and the sublingual beneath the tongue. So there are 3 pairs: parotid, which is the largest, that is present in the cheek. Next is the submaxillary in the lower jaw, and the sublingual, lingual known as tongue. So linguistic, பேசுறதுக்கு யூஸ் ஆகிறது tongue, which is found beneath the tongue. These glands have ducts, duct in a tube, such as Stenson's duct, Wharton's ducts, and Bartholin's duct, or duct of Rivinis. The salivary juices secreted by the salivary gland reaches the mouth through these ducts. The daily secretion of saliva from salivary gland ranges from 1000 to 1500 ml. It's an important 1-mark question. The daily secretion of saliva from the salivary gland ranges from 1000 to 1500 ml. Okay, so in this diagram you can able to see these various ducts. So the duct enga start agudun paathukom. Stenson's duct is in parotid gland that is found in the cheeks. Okay, Wharton duct enga irukudun paathuko. Bartholin duct enga irukudhu. So Wharton duct is found in submaxillary gland, whereas Bartholin duct is found in sublingual gland. Next is gastric gland. The wall of the stomach is lined by gastric glands. The chief cells or the peptic cells, or we can call it as zymogen cells in the gastric gland, secretes gastric juice. The peptic cells secretes gastric juices or enzymes, and goblet cell secretes mucus. The parietal or oxyntic cell secretes HCl, hydrochloric acid, and an intrinsic factor responsible for absorption of vitamin B12 called Castell's intrinsic factor. If you have book, underline. So the wall of the stomach is lined by gastric glands. So gastric glands different types of cells irukku. Peptic cells, goblet cells, and parietal cells. Peptic cells secretes gastric enzymes. Goblet cell secretes mucus, and parietal or oxyntic cell secretes HCl, and an intrinsic factor which is responsible for absorption of vitamin B12 called Cassell's intrinsic factor. Next is the liver. Liver is the largest gland in our body. It is situated in the upper right side of the abdominal cavity just below the diaphragm. Diaphragm is a thick muscle which separates the thorax and the abdomen. The liver consists of two major lobes, right and the left lobes, and two minor lobes. These lobes are connected with the diaphragm. Each lobe has hepatic lobules. அப்போ லோபுக்குள்ள இன்னொரு சின்னதா வட்டமா இருக்கும். That is called as lobules, which is the functional unit of liver. Hepatic nalle liver. And it is covered by a thin connective tissue sheath called Glissen's capsules. The liver cell secretes bile. Liver cells என்ன secrete பண்ணும்? Bile, which is stored and concentrated in a thin muscular sac-like structure called gallbladder. You can see in this diagram. So, liver cells la bile secrete ஆகும். This bile is stored in a small sac-like structure called gallbladder, பித்தப்பை. The duct of gallbladder along with the hepatic duct from the liver forms a common bile duct. So, இந்த gallbladderலேருந்து வரக்கூடிய ஒரு டியூபும் ஹிப்பாட்டிக் லிவர்லேருந்து வரக்கூடிய ஒரு டியூபும் ரெண்டும் சேர்ந்து ஒரு காமன் பைல் டக்ட் உருவாக்குது. The bile duct passes downwards and joined to the main pancreatic duct. பைல் டக்டும் pancreasலேருந்து வரக்கூடிய டக்டும் ஒன்று சேர்ந்து ஒரு காமன் hepatopancreatic duct ஓப்பன் ஆகுது. The opening of this hepatopancreatic duct into the duodenum is guarded by the sphincter. So, in the common duct, hepatopancreatic, hepatona liver and pancreas ல இருந்து வரக்கூடிய ரெண்டுமே join ஆகி duodenumல connect ஆகும், and it is guarded by a sphincter called sphincter of ODDI. Liver has a high power of regeneration, and the liver cells are replaced by new ones every 3 to 4 weeks. Liver cells அப்பப்ப regenerate ஆகிட்டே இருக்கும். Apart from bile secretion, the liver also performs several functions. So, what are the various functions of a liver? It destroys the aging and defective blood cells. So, age ஆன defective ஆன blood cells எல்லாமே எங்கே போய் அழியும்? லிவரில். ஸோ நம்ம ஏற்கனவே 10th படிச்சிருப்போம். ஸோ RBCs are produced in the bone marrow and destroys in liver. So liver also stores glucose in the form of glycogen or disperse glucose into the bloodstream with the help of pancreatic hormones. Pancreatic hormone and insulin. This liver stores fat-soluble vitamins and iron. It detoxifies the toxic substances. டாக்ஸிக்னா விஷத்தன்மையை முறிக்கக்கூடியது. And then this liver involves in the synthesis of non-essential amino acids and urea. Urea and non-essential amino acids are produced from this liver. So it's a very important 3-mark question. First one, it destroys the aging and blood cells. Second one, stores the glucose in the form of glycogen. And third one, stores fat-soluble vitamins and iron. And fourth one, detoxifies the toxic substances. And fifth one, involves in the synthesis of non-essential amino acid and urea. And last one is the pancreas. The second largest gland in the digestive system is the pancreas, which is yellow colored, compound, elongated organ consisting of exocrine and endocrine cells. So, the pancreas consists of both exocrine and endocrine cells. So, it is called as dual gland because it shows both the property exocrine and endocrine. It is situated between the limbs of U-shaped duodenum. Duodenum நோடைய அந்த லிம்ஸ்க்கு நடுவுல ஸ்டொமக்கு கீழே இருக்கும். The exocrine part of pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, which contains the enzymes such as pancreatic amylase, trypsin, and pancreatic lipase. And the endocrine part of this pancreas are called islets of Langerhans, which secretes hormones such as insulin and glucagon. The pancreatic duct directly opens into duodenum. So easier ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கணும்னா pancreas is the second largest digestive gland. It is a dual gland because it shows both exocrine and endocrine property. The exocrine part of pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, whereas the endocrine part of pancreas secretes insulin and glucagon. Okay, and the various enzymes of this pancreatic juice are pancreatic amylase, trypsin, and pancreatic lipase. Okay, that's all about the digestive glands of a human being.